Hi everybody, welcome and thanks for tuning into this video. Today we're going to talk about the maintenance of your feet being diabetic. Now this is the second video in a two-part series. The first video, if you haven't seen, I'll link it above and I'll put it in the video description below also. Check that one out. That one talks more about if your feet are really dry, you're starting to get cracks, and that one talks about a deeper exfoliation process. This video here is talking more about the maintenance that we want to perform on a weekly basis or maybe every other week if you're really busy or your feet are doing really well. Diabetics have a tendency to have really overly dry feet, and therefore our skin can build up, it can then crack, then we've got open sores on our feet, and it's really not good. There's a ton of different problems that people can suffer from with their feet. And if you're suffering from something like funguses, athlete's foot, this is not the video for you. There's probably a million other videos on YouTube that can help you out, but this one's focused towards dry feet and how to get the moisturizer into our feet so that we have healthier, more supple feet.
Okay, so I'm going to show you all the tools that I personally use for my maintenance that I do about once a week. This takes me about an hour to do. If I don't do it every week, when I do sit down to do it, it will probably take me an hour and a half, a little bit longer. There's more skin to remove if I don't do it on a weekly basis. So the first thing I use is one of these. This one is by Ped Egg, but it does not have to be that maker. It's one of these types of like cheese grater looking files. The second item coincidentally is by the same maker, but there's a lot of different companies that make this. I've seen this by Dr. Scholl's. I've seen this by a lot of different companies. So you don't have to have one of these. I'm just showing you the things that I use, and this is battery operated, so make sure you have fresh batteries. When the batteries in this are running low, you could get some hesitation in the roller. So strong batteries are the best for that step in there. And the third step is just another file. This is just like a pumice stone. However, it's not a very rough pumice stone. It's going to be your final step. So if you use one of those blocks or any kind of pumice stone that you can find at the drugstore, what you're looking for is a finer texture of it. We don't want anything rough. We've already used the rough things. I always use a towel because if I've seen one of these out lately that have a little vacuum with it, and at first I thought how silly, but actually it's a really good idea because I do, what do I want to say, dispose of a lot of skin. So I use a towel to put down so I could collect the skin, and then the last thing you'll need is some sort of moisturizing cream for your feet. I've used a lot of different foot creams, and this is the one that works the best for me. Okay, so the first step is to take this Ped Egg file that looks like the cheese grater, and I go all around the sides of my feet. I go over the balls of my feet, even swipe over the surfaces of my toes, and then focus a lot on the back heel. Anywhere really that my feet have contact with the ground. Okay, for the second step here, what I do is I take a moment to really look what areas need the most attention. I can't always see all of this dry skin that is appearing here on the camera, so I take my finger and I really rub around to feel for areas that need longer attention. During this second step, as well as the third step, I'll even make a few passes in the archway of my foot, which I wouldn't have done in step number one. So this last and third step here, we're going to use the pumice stone. Now I've got two different textures. If you have only one, you use what you got. If you have two, start with the thicker texture and go to the finer texture. All we're doing here is buffing off the last bits of skin.
When you're exfoliating your feet with the first file, it looks like the cheese grater. Be aware of the time. You do not want to be sitting there watching a show and filing away at your feet, filing away. You're going to over exfoliate. So I know that I like doing this process. My feet feel so good afterwards. They feel like I feel like feet should feel. That can be a tongue twister. Anyway, I love doing this process because my feet feel so good afterwards. And if I'm watching a television program, I could be filing away at my feet or exfoliating my feet for way too long. So I'd say set a timer, start off with maybe just 5 minutes on each foot. Don't put a lot of pressure. The drier your feet are, or if you take a long period of time between these types of maintenance, you might be able to scrub a little bit harder. Not scrub, but exfoliate a little bit harder or a little bit longer. You don't want to accumulate a ton of dead skin. You want to remove it bit by bit. This is why I suggest doing this once a week. So you could take off some, the next week you could take off a little bit more. Believe me, if you're doing this once a week, you will be taking off more skin than your skin is producing. So if you've got a lot of layers to get through, you just need to be patient and take off a little bit at a time. If you take off too much, you are going to be left with sore feet. And that is not fun for anybody. Don't let yourself get lost in the exfoliation like I do. Okay, so after you're done with all your filing, the last step is to give yourself a little foot massage with your moisturizer, okay? This is really important because you've just removed dead skin. You really want to get down into that bottom skin and get it moisturized. You'll feel how much closer you are to getting that cream in. Feels so good. I always go up into my ankles. And if you're having any problems, I've had 2 ulcers on my feet, and something I read, I've always pulled my products up because of gravity. I don't want to push down. But when it comes to your feet and ankles, you do kind of want to make that movement going down towards your toes. Your toes, after a long time of being diabetic, can have a hard time with circulation and the blood getting down there. So, make those movements down towards your toes, and down, get those tootsies with some blood in them, Always make sure you go in between your toes too. Those areas can get really dry really easily. So you'll find that this cream does not absorb instantaneously. It gives you a few minutes where you can rub around, but it doesn't sit on the surface of the skin forever either. It really absorbs nicely. So there, I'm all done. I'm all moisturized. My foot feels great. I'm gonna go ahead and slip on my sock without worrying that my sock is gonna absorb all the product, because it has absorbed quite nicely into my foot. Okay, so that's it, you guys. You're done. I hope your feet feel as good as mine do. Mine feel wonderful. So what I do is I repeat this process each week if I can. Sometimes I get busy and I don't do it for 2 weeks or whatnot, but really try to be consistent with this, because the more consistent you are with this, the healthier, the more moisturizable your feet are going to be. They feel so much better once you've done this. You'll see when you're walking around after you do this, they just feel a million times better. Now remember, when you're doing this week after week inside your own house, it will be much quicker, much faster. You'll know exactly what to do, how much exfoliation you need. If you have other ways that you exfoliate and moisturize your feet, other ways that you keep your feet healthy, please leave it in the comments below, because we're a community here, and the goal is to really share what one diabetic does, what another diabetic does, to find the best lifestyle for all of us. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit like if you liked any of this information or learned something new. And that's it. Now you take those moisturized tootsies and have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.